Good morning and welcome to our first online whole school assembly. You may have guessed it from the image on the screen that today we're going to be finding out about all the fantastic work the NHS have done in the past and are currently doing. There may be some familiar faces along with names that you've heard before, but all of these people have played a vital role in the medical profession in history. This is somebody that you're all familiar with and will recognise. This is Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale was a nurse during the Crimean War in 1854. Britain was at war with Russia, and Florence arrived in Turkey with a group of nurses to provide help. You can see from the map where Great Britain is, Russia, and Scutari. And Scutari is a city in Turkey, and that's where Florence arrived and where she was working in the hospitals. When she arrived, the conditions were incredibly bad. The hospitals were very basic, and the soldiers were not given enough food or medicine to help them get better. She saw that the wounded soldiers were sleeping in overcrowded, dirty rooms and they had no blankets. The soldiers would often arrive with diseases like typhus, cholera, and sadly, many of them died from these diseases rather than the injuries they had sustained in the war. Florence decided that she, along with all the other nurses, would help to clean the hospital and improve the conditions. And you can see from the picture behind how much better it looks. There's no overcrowding and there's a lot more facilities for them to use. She was often known as the lady with the lamp because she would often tend to the soldiers and walk the wards on a night with the lamp. And this was how the soldiers would know that she was there, and this provided comfort to them. Somebody who helped Florence Nightingale was Mary Seacole. Mary Seacole was born in Jamaica in 1805 and she trained as a nurse, and during the Crimean War she offered assistance to the British Army. Unfortunately, the British Army turned down her offer of help, and it's thought that that was because of the colour of her skin. So she decided to set up a British hotel near the front line, and she would provide comfort and supplies to the army. Mary's Hotel operated as a store and a restaurant, but Florence Nightingale wasn't very impressed because it's thought that Mary Seacole was also selling alcohol, and Florence Nightingale didn't agree with that. However, Mary used the profits from the hotel to cover the costs of the medicines that she was able to provide to the soldiers. Every day she would ride to the battlefront to give out medicines and nurse the injured and dying soldiers. In 1857, 80,000 people turned up to honour Mary in a 4-day gala, which was held to raise money for her, and she was awarded 4 medals from the British government. Somebody who you won't be familiar with is this lady here. This is Clara Barton. Clara Barton is known as America's Angel of the Battlefield. She was a nurse during the Civil War, and this was a war between the northern states of America and the southern states of America. The war started in 1861 and lasted for 4 years, finishing in 1865. While nursing during the Civil War, Barton was really concerned about the lack of medical supplies available to the soldiers. There were no dressings for their wounds, there wasn't enough medicines for them, and she was deeply affected by this. So Barton decided to take action, and she bravely carried the medical supplies to the battlefield, nursing the wounded soldiers where they lay. From this, she went on to found the American Red Cross in 1881. The American Red Cross is an organisation which provides support and assistance to families and communities during disasters. This can be earthquakes, tsunamis, eruptions, typhoons, and many more. Edward Jenner. Edward Jenner was a very famous English scientist. He was a country doctor who was born and lived in a small village in Berkeley in Gloucestershire, which isn't very far from here. He made a huge medical breakthrough that had an impact on the whole world. He created a vaccine to cure smallpox. Smallpox was a dangerous disease caused by a virus. It caused a temperature, body aches, tiredness, and what that developed into was a rash which blistered all over the body. In some of the most serious cases, people died. Edward was really curious about the disease, and he had to see for himself what smallpox looked like, and it was quite a frightening sight. More frightening still, however, was that the only known cure was to infect a person with smallpox in the hope that they would recover and not catch it again. So at the age of 8, Jenner bravely was given a deliberate amount of smallpox, and he vowed to find a way to beat the disease. He went on to develop a vaccine for smallpox, which would ultimately go on to save millions of lives. A vaccine is a substance that prevents people from getting a disease. And you may have heard that word quite a lot on the news and on the television lately. In 1967, a group called the World Health Organization began giving the smallpox vaccine to people around the world. The project was a huge success, and by 1979, there were no cases of smallpox anywhere in the world. You may have heard or seen the World Health Organization, and it's often presented as WHO. They've been on the news a lot lately as they help us to understand the coronavirus and are working to develop a vaccine. I hope you've all enjoyed our assembly today. Please stay safe and remember to continue to support the NHS by heading outside your front doors on Thursday evenings at 8 o'clock to clap for all the NHS workers, carers and key workers who are continuing to keep our country ticking over. There have been lots of your rainbow pictures painted and displayed on your houses, and a huge thank you to Elsa and Holly for mine, which are being displayed proudly in my front room. We'll see you all soon. Bye.